What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Monday Night Mock Draft with your boy Derek, aka D-Rock. Um, I'm doing another. I've made changes to my mock draft from last week after doing more in-depth research on potential prospects. Looking at the rumor mill, seeing what's going on. Um, I'm actually pretty happy with this mock draft that came out. So if you have any insight, um, you agree, disagree with a pick, put a comment below. All right, let's get into it. With the number one pick, the Dallas Mavericks are on the clock. Oh, by the way, I am using Fanspo. They have a really nice mock draft section. Please, if you're gonna want to do a mock draft, go on Fanspo. All right. With that said, the Dallas Mavericks are on the clock with the number one pick. I think it's a foregone conclusion what they will do. I haven't taken Cooper Flag. I've been reading articles about potential trades that the Mavericks could make with this pick. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they have their heart set on taking Cooper Flag. And I don't think Nico Harrison would trade another franchise player like he did 3 months ago in Luka Doncic. I don't think he would make that mistake 2 times in 3 months. So Cooper Flag's a pick here. I really like Cooper Flag's fit with Dallas. He's great on defense. He's a two-way player, great on both sides of the ball, can handle the ball, can pass. And he's not going to be the number one option with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis there as well. So he's not going to have all the pressure on him like he did at Duke, which will be a good thing for him. So I think Dallas will be a contender. With him on the team, and I like their chances going forward. All right, at number 2 we have the San Antonio Spurs on the clock. I've read a lot into where they could go with this pick. Could it get traded? I don't think so. I don't think a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade happens here. Well, Giannis really hasn't made his plans, made his intentions known yet. So I think San Antonio will stick with this pick, and they will take Dylan Harper out of Rutgers. Dylan Harper fits with San Antonio. He's a scorer. I could see him playing either guard position at the NBA level. He could fit in both spots, which would make him a perfect sidekick for De'Aaron Fox or Stephon Castle in San Antonio. I also forgot to give a player comparison for Cooper Flag. For Cooper Flag, I compare him to Andrei Korolenko with a little bit of Scottie Pippen mixed in. He reminds me a lot of Andrei Korolenko with his length and size and defensive prowess. With Dylan Harper, I compare him to Cade Cunningham. He would basically be the left-handed Cade Cunningham. He can do everything Cade Cunningham can do, and that's why I like him at the number 2 pick. If it wasn't for Cooper Flag, I'd say Dylan Harper would be the number 1 pick overall. That's how good Dylan Harper is. So with that being said, he's going number 2 to San Antonio. Every once in a while, I will scroll into the bottom so you can remind you of the order. All right, at number 3, we have the 76ers. The 76ers could go a lot of ways here. I've seen mock drafts have them taking Trey Johnson, VJ Edgecombe, or Ace Bailey, or even Knuppel at 3. With this pick, I think it's going to stay with the status quo. I have him going Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey, yes, he needs to develop his game a little bit, but I think overall, I feel like this guy has he has the highest chance of being a bust. But it depends on the situation he goes to. A lot of people see him as having bust potential. And I just hope with this history that this will write the Sixers' history of draft picks, because if you look at their draft picks during the process, a lot of them didn't work out. The only one that has worked out was Joel Embiid, and the jury's still out on whether that has worked out or not. So with that being said, I compare Ace Bailey to Mike. I think he has the potential to be like a Michael Porter Jr. He can get to the rim. He needs to work on his jump. He needs to work on his 3-point shot. But if he grows into his potential, he could be like a Michael Porter Jr. type player, and he'll go to the Sixers at 3. At number 4, we have the Charlotte Hornets. This pick is a pick I've liked. Is the first of many that I like. And that's VJ Edgecombe going to Charlotte. He's the perfect fit next to LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. I like him going 5 because I think he's a perfect fit for Charlotte and what they're trying to do. And he's just another piece to add to this young team that is building for the future. So VJ Edgecombe at number 4. At number 5, this is where it gets tricky. At number 5, I have the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz need a lot. But right now I have them taking the best player available, the best shooter available. I have them taking Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson is the best shooter considered in the draft. He played really good for a really bad team last year in Texas. And I feel like he had a solid combine showing. So I think that he would go to the Jazz, and next to Isaiah Collier or Keyshawn George, I think he would be a perfect fit with Utah and what they're building there. At number 6, the Washington Wizards. I had them taking Kasparas Jakučinas out of Illinois. This is a guy who can come in and play right away at the point guard position. I think he has the potential to be the point guard of the future for the Wizards. He can shoot the ball. He'd be a perfect complement to Alex Sarr, who they drafted number 2 overall last year. And Washington also needs a lot. So Kasparas Jakučinas would start building in that direction. I see him being their point guard for the future and being a great teammate for Alex Sarr. At number 7, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. And this is an intriguing pick for me. I've always liked this guy at this spot. Remember last week I had him trading down to 9 with the Raptors, and they drafted him here. But I'll go him at 7. Jeremiah Fears. The jury's out on this kid. He has spiked up draft boards. I feel like he'll get a lot of playing time from the get-go, from the jump, because DeJounte Murray is will be out half the year due to injury. And I feel like Fears will be able to get some reps and get his feet wet and develop a little bit before Murray gets back. At number 8, the Brooklyn Nets have the first of 4 picks. and I had them taking the best player available. They basically need a little bit of everything. So I'm going to have them taking Con Knuppel, the shooter from Duke. He's the best player available at this spot. He's a knockdown shooter, a great facilitator. He's a ball handler as well. And he's great on the defensive side as well. And the Nets basically need everything. They're building from the ground up. So Con Knuppel, you can't never have enough shooters. I have Con Knuppel going here 8 to Brooklyn. At number 9, this is a pick that I like, that I would bet on if I could, and that's because I've heard a lot of great things about the Raptors and Kaman Malawach. The Raptors seem to like guys that they can develop, big guys that they can develop. He's a ball player. He's only been playing since he was 15 years old. He grew up loving soccer and wanted to get back into it. But somebody saw him playing soccer. He was about 6'10" or 6'9". He grew up in Africa. Somebody saw him playing soccer at 6'8", 6'9", and said, "No, you're playing basketball." He is 7'2", 250 pounds. He's raw still, but I feel like he could follow a Pascal Siakam or a Chris Boucher. Yeah, he'd be a perfect fit for the Toronto Raptors. At number 10, the Houston Rockets. They had the second best record in the West. Finished number 2. And this pick, I had them taking a player that reminds me of a Houston Rocket type player. Colin Murray Boyles. He's long, he's athletic, he's a monster on the defensive end with his length and size. And so if they draft him, he'll just add to the defensive prowess that they have with Amen Thompson and a bunch of their other guys. So Colin Murray Boyles will be the pick here at 10. All right, number 11, we have the Portland Trailblazers. This could be one of the most intriguing picks. I had them taking Igor Demon out of BYU, the super guard. I feel like he could either play the point guard position or the 2-guard position for Portland. He's a facilitator. He's working on his shot. He shot 41% from the field last year. I feel like he'd be a good pick for them. With Scoot Henderson not being able to stay on the court the last 2 years. I think Demon could work out, would be a perfect fit for the Portland Trailblazers. At number 12, I have the Chicago Bulls taking Derek Queen. At this spot, Derek Queen would be the Bulls' dream selection here. He fits everything they look for in a big man. And he'd be a cheaper version, a cheaper center than Nick Vucevic, who's coming up on a contract. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things out of Chicago about Derek Queen, so they like this guy. If they're at 12, they're not going to hesitate to take him, and they're going to take him here. At 13, I have the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, coming off of the play-in tournament, I had them taking Jace Richardson. He's not as explosive as his dad, who was Jason Richardson, but he's still young. Yeah, if he develops into the player he could be, I think he'd be a pretty nice role player for the Hawks. He's coming from a strong program in Michigan State, and I like Jace Richardson. He's a tough kid. He locks in on defense. He needs to work on his offensive game. But I think he could be a really great piece for the Hawks down the road. All right, at number 14, the San Antonio Spurs. I've seen this pick in uh, this pick in several mock drafts, and I actually like the idea. I have the San Antonio going Liam McNeely at 14. I like this pick. He's a winner. He played a great program at UConn. And I could see McNeely being a solid role player for the Spurs, who are looking. He's a shooter as well, so I see him being a solid piece for the San Antonio Spurs. The growth in their team. At number 15, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. At this pick, they'll either be coming off a NBA championship or a loss to the Indiana Pacers. With this pick at 15, I have them taking the most intriguing prospect in the draft, Colin Coward, or Cedric Coward, sorry. Thank Colin Coward. I have them taking Cedric Coward from Washington State. He only played 6 games this past year due to injury. But he's an intriguing prospect. He shot up draft boards. Last week I had it going 23 to Indiana. But here I have him going 15 to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City really doesn't have any room on their roster for guys. So they're going to be digging deep to see. They're going to be looking for a piece that would help their team and that they'd be willing to fit into the roster. And Cedric Cowards would be one of those pieces, and he's a good fit for OKC, and he fits what they're looking for. At number 16, the Orlando Magic. I'm going back and forth with this pick. Last week I had them taking Jace Richardson here, but with this pick I have them taking Nick Clifford. At this spot, I feel like he's the best shooter available. At Colorado State, he showed it. He shot 49% from the field and 40% from 3. Averaged 18 points and almost 10 rebounds. So in the draft, Orlando looks for shooting, and Nick Clifford would give them that. At number 17, this pick is going to go unchanged from last week. I have them taking Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant's another intriguing prospect. He only averaged 6 points a game last year as a freshman at Arizona, but later in the year, when he became comfortable in the rotation or playing in the program, there was flashes of what he could possibly be. I think working with guys like Anthony Edwards in Minnesota, I feel like he could reach his potential and be a really good NBA player. At 18, we have the Washington Wizards again. I've gone back and forth with this pick. Last week I had them taking, Thomas Sorber at this pick. A lot of mock drafts have had them taking Danny Wolf here or Rasheer Fleming, I saw, or even Noah Nsenge. But I'm going to stick with my regular pick here, the hometown kid, Thomas Sorber. If they could have Sorber and Alex Sarr work together and form a front court tandem. That could be potentially one of the best in the league one day. Sorber will be a hometown kid. He's from Washington, D.C. And he came on strong for Georgetown. He wasn't expected to really do much this year, but he averaged 14 and 8 for the Hoyas this year, in a down year for the team. But he was a bright spot. I feel like if he went to Washington, yeah, be able to continue to grow around young talent, and he would be able to help out the Wizards and what they're trying to do in Washington. All right, now look at this, 19. At 19, the Nets are back on the clock. I had them taking Walter Clayton Jr. last week. After doing research, they took Con Knuckle at number 8. I had them taking Ozzy Newell out of Georgia. Yes, it says he's a power forward, but Georgia played 2 centers this year, and Newell was one of them. I feel like he's going to be playing the center position in the NBA. That's how big he is and how physical he is. He can step out and shoot the 3 as well. I like this kid. I feel like if Brooklyn could get Newell and Knuckle with their first 2 picks, they'd be pretty happy. At 20, the Miami Heat. I had them taking Janai Broom last week. This week, I had them taking Janai Broom just because I know that they like veteran guys who are leaders. Look at Jaime Jaquez. But yeah, I think Janai Broom's a perfect fit here. He fits what the Miami Heat culture is about. Yeah, and he's a winner. He's a leader. He's a captain. He's a voice in the locker room. Yeah, and if it wasn't for Cooper Flagg, Janai Broom would be the best player. He would have been the best player in college basketball last year. So Janai Broom going 20 to Miami. All right, so we're at 21. And the Jazz are back on the clock. With the Jazz, they took Trey Johnson. With this pick, I've heard they're looking to move Colin Sexton. So I have them taking Nolan Traore, the point guard out of France. I've watched a little bit of his tape. I was impressed by what he can do. Yeah, I think he's got a bright future in the NBA. I feel like at 21, if they can get him and Trey Johnson, they can have the backcourt, one of the best backcourts in the league in a couple of years. All right, at 22, I have the Atlanta Hawks, who already drafted Jace Richardson. I have them taking Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf was unrecruited out of high school. He decided to go to Yale, and he had 4 productive years at Yale. And then he transferred to Michigan and showed that he could play with the big boys, which basically shot him up the draft board. And now he is a first-round pick and will be playing for the Atlanta Hawks. I like his game. He can step out, shoot the 3. He just needs to work on his his ball handling. But yeah, he's a big guy. He's good on both ends. He's a rim defender, a rim protector. I feel like he'd be the perfect fit here at 22 for Atlanta. All right, so we have the Indiana Pacers on the clock. And this pick, I hear him every time I make this pick, I hear in my head, Miles Turner last year saying he's taking it year by year. This year, he's a free agent, and I don't think they'll be going to be re-signing him. So this year, at this pick, I have them taking his replacement, Joan Berringer, out of France. Joan Berringer can basically do everything that Miles Turner can do. And I like this kid. I watched a little bit of his tape. He's athletic as hell. He was a solid defender. Yeah, so I think he'd be a perfect fit, and he would grow into the replacement for Miles Turner. All right, and we have Oklahoma City back on the clock. And if you like if you like the French invasion that's going on in this draft, you're gonna like this pick too, because I have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking Noah Asenge out of France. So he needs the most development out of the French players that are going to be drafted. But I like his game. I think he could grow into a solid piece for the Oklahoma City Thunder. If they needed to, he would be a draft and stash. I know they already drafted Cedric Coward, but I feel like Nsenge would be another piece that could help them down the stretch. All right, at 26, I had the Orlando Magic, or 25, sorry. And this pick, I had him going higher, but I like him staying in Florida, going to the Magic, Walter Clayton Jr. Walter Clayton Jr. is a winner. He's a national champion. He can shoot the lights out. And like I said before, Orlando looks for guys who can shoot the ball. They focus on guys that can shoot the ball with their picks. And if they can get Walter Clayton Jr. and Nick Clifford, they've done just that. At 26, this is the third pick that the Nets will have in this first round. They have 2 back-to-back picks. With the first pick, I had them taking Ben Saraf, the shooting guard out of Israel. I feel like he can play the point guard position as well. He has great ball handling. He's a lefty. I feel like he would be a great fit for Brooklyn and what they're trying to do. He would potentially become their starting point guard. At 27, I feel like Brooklyn's going to take a draft and stash here. I have them taking Hugo Gonzalez. He's not ready to come over yet. He's still developing his game. And I feel like Hugo Gonzalez could be the pick here. At 28, the Boston Celtics. Yeah, they're one of the teams that I'm interested in watching to see what they do this year. See what they do. I feel like they're going to get rid of Kristaps Porzingis. They might get rid of either Derek White or Drew Holiday. So I think they're going to take Ryan Kalkbrenner. Ryan Kalkbrenner was a solid player at Creighton. He'll probably be he's going to be one of the biggest players in the NBA from day one. But he's a lefty. He's got great ball control skills, ball handling. And he's actually started developing to step out and shoot the 3. So he'd be a cheaper, younger Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis has played out his welcome. He hasn't seen the floor. He's been unable to stay on the floor the last couple of years. So Kalkbrenner would be the perfect replacement. At number 29, the Phoenix Suns. I had them going with a big man too, Maxime Renaud from Stanford. Big kid, can step out, shoot the 3. He'd be a perfect fit for what the Phoenix Suns are trying to do. Then at 30, the Los Angeles Clippers. I have them taking Cam Jones, the shooting guard out of Marquette. The kid can score. He can shoot the ball. He can handle the ball. He could potentially be a point guard if they need him to be. I think he would fit right next to James Harden, give him more shooting on the court. All right, and there you have it. There is my this is my week 2 draft board or mock draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I look forward to seeing you next Monday with another mock draft. All right, you guys have a great night.